Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Fiend Metal. In today's video, well, we've got a lot of work to done because I've been a little busy and kind of procrastinating because we're going to finally cage the wagon. Alright, so like I said, we're going to be caging my 1993 Impreza race wagon. If you don't remember, here's what happened at the last race. So since there is no wind chill in the car, well, might as well just go ahead and throw a cage in it and get it done and over with, because, you know, in order to have passengers at all for some of my racing, I have to have a cage. In order to race in some of the series I want to race in, I have to have a cage. It's a little dirty right now because I've been thrashing trying to get it done, but it is Sunday, August 21st, and I got nothing done. So I have 3 days to get a cage built for this car before Saturday. Well, actually, okay, I technically have 5.5 days because obviously today's still Sunday, but I realistically have 3 whole days to myself this week: Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and we have to be at the race Saturday morning. So I need to figure out if this car is going to be caged enough by then or not, and well, I just need to get it done. So the plan is to do a basic FIA cage and get an ARA logbook, because if the car is logbook caged, several of the racing series I want to race with just take it, so I don't have to worry about what their specification is. As long as the car has an ARA logbook, it'll be fine. The cage design is going to be somewhat basic, but the primary thing is going to be building a very nice fitting cage. Now, I'm not going to do this on a time lapse because, well, I tend to take a lot of time on those and the video's long and it doesn't do very well. So this is going to just be me going over some of the stuff involved in this one, because I have already gone over a cage, or the making of a cage, when I built the SVX, but I want to really just touch on some of the things that are going to make this cage special. It's not going to be a regular, like, throw it together, huge panel, you know, huge gaps to the body, utilizing that 100mm rule. We're going to stick to a very tight-fitting cage. I'm going to put as much of the interior back in the car as possible. I will have my dash, I will have my air conditioning, I will have my heater. Those things are not going anywhere. So the goal is to keep this factory dash, heater, steering wheel, all of that. I do have one new toy that I went and picked up from my buddy last week, and that is in the shop right here. Right, let the camera transition. Here, this is my brand new, well, new to me. It's been at my buddy's place for a few months until he decided he wasn't going to use it. It's a brand new HTER extra large seat. So it's a Halo racing seat. That will mean that the race car is only going to have one seat for right now, because I'm not willing to put anybody in the car until it's got 2 full-on racing seats with harnesses. I only have 1 seat and 1 harness, so it is going to be what it's going to be. But that's the seat I'm going to run, and should definitely make for a much easier time racing in a lot of ways. The primary thing that I'm looking to get out of the racing seat is just that lateral hold-in. The factory seats for this car were shot, springs were broken, everything. Like, here's a picture of it. That seat, that spring poking out of the back of that seat, that's the driver's seat. Here's another picture of the front of it. The seat was just completely collapsed out, and it was actually just painful to drive it. So, you know, driving the car hours there and back to race. In the case of Las Vegas, 19 hours each way of driving. That's a lot. And stuff like that, well, it's what wears you down when you're racing. So, new race seat, new full new cage. It might not be painted by the time we go to racing, obviously, but we're going to get it all in there. I'm going to hold off on painting it until after it's logbooked. Once it's logbooked, then I'm going to paint it, and I'm going to go through and we're going to start on the car's whole aesthetic changeover. I love the way the cars looked. Obviously, that picture of it with the hood up when I'm still racing. I like that. But, you know, it's time for something different. It doesn't get enough attention for what I want it to get attention for. It never really gets a whole lot of photographs taken of it. I lucked out and got those ones, but yeah. We're going to see if we can make this thing a little bit more appealing to the cameras once the roll cage is in. So, I got a whole bunch of stuff coming. Hope you guys like it. Now let's get to building this cage because I don't have a whole lot of time. Alrighty, so I'm back, and well, it's Thursday before the race, and the picture you just saw is actually what the car looks like this morning. There's no cage in it. Now I've got 2 full days to get this cage assembled, including bending a few bars. I do have the A-pillar bars bent already, and I have the main hoop assembled. That's pretty much it. The rest of it has been figuring out placement of everything, A-pillar bars, how the cage is designed. Because this cage is not just going to be a stage rally cage or stage rally level cage. This cage right here, or what's going in this car, is being designed for future plans. Over the life of this car, it has gone through a few iterations. Some of that iterations, well, they weren't thought out with like the next stage in mind, and along the way of a lot of racing, it's taken some damage. Floor pans, stuff like that, underbody. So with that in mind, I designed a special cage just for this car so that as we complete phase 3 and we move to phase 4, this cage won't need to be cut back out and a new cage built to work with phase 4. Phase 4 is not going to be happening really soon, but there's just no point in double spending money, and this will be more than enough cage for what we're doing in phase 3. It's not quite the same fitment as the SVX cage, but this isn't the same kind of a project. The main project point here is that I'm going to build a caged car, but I'm keeping all of this. That is the HVAC system in the car, air conditioning and heater. I want it. I want to keep it. I want to have my car be fun to drive, and even as I'm sitting in a much more cramped driving space, I want to be comfortable. So with that in mind, this is the cage design that is going to happen, and well, it's going to be just a little different than some. Now, some aspects do align with other cage designs I've done. Some aspects are unique to this one. I'm trying something a little bit different, but either way, I think you guys are going to like the end result. And, you know, instead of being just a normal setup, it's custom and it's one-off, which is kind of where I strive. Now, with only 2 full days of work to get this done, I got a lot to do. So, I'm just going to shoot some pictures as we go. And I'll be back on, well, my first check-in will be when the main cage is in. That is going to be main hoop, rocker plates and boxes, and A-pillars and roof bars. Forward roof bars, not rear backstays. If I can get those done, hopefully fairly early today, the rest of it should take care of itself. So we're going to get to work, see how far we can make it. Alrighty, so I'm back, and well, yeah, I didn't make it the furthest yesterday. The cage is not complete. Now, realistically, giving myself basically 2 days of progress to have a one-off custom cage from about here forward pretty much done. I do need to add some parts to it. The cage is actually down right now because I was finishing up welding up the roof bars. And then all I'd have to add is backstays, the rear V, and the door bars, and the A-pillar bar. And ideally, I could probably get that done today, but one thing I left myself was too little time. Now, that's my fault. I procrastinated. Can't blame anybody. It's on me. The other thing is, you can't tell, we went from having really hot, nice weather that I was able to be out here working in to having, well, it was sprinkling this morning, a little bit of rain, and unfortunately, no matter what I do, there's no windshield in the car. Great for installing a cage, really, really bad for electronics, which is all down below that. The big, massive wiring in there is what I really care about, because it's what runs the car. It's the ECU, it's the TCU, it's the freaking harness for the fuse block. It's everything. It's the whole brain of the car. And if I were to risk it and race it tomorrow, I would have to drive it to the track. Now, I really want to race this thing. I so want to race this thing, it's not even funny. But is it worth the risk to risk damaging the car to the point where I can't race it next month? All right, so like I was saying before I took that call, or is it worth it to just hold off, not rush this? I'm going to take care of this early next week, probably, but get it, done the way I want it in the long run, and just fix this car, fix it up, and run it, make it work. Now, the answer to that's simple. It's going to be the coupe. We're going to pull the engine out, do a repair to a, what the heck is it? It's the rear of the engine, it's the oil separator plate. That appears to be leaking, either that or a rear main seal. I have all the stuff to fix it on hand, so I think I'm just going to pull the engine out. I'm going to do a quick in and out engine service. I call it quick because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bolts for the exhaust, 4 bolts for the bell housing, 4 bolts for the flex plate. We're up to 14. The air intake, a couple of hoses, a couple of air hoses, 3 fuel lines, or 2 or 3 fuel lines, a breather hose, and 2 radiator hoses and coolant. And I'll throw an oil change in it while I'm in there. So yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. Now, I don't have a whole lot of time. Obviously, it's about noon on Friday because I've been running around doing stuff, and I already found an ant's nest in the back of this car that I had to clean out. So I'm going to get this engine in and out of the car real quick, not take too long because I don't want to take too long, and get it done. I'll take a couple of pictures along the way of this too. We're not going to do a time lapse or anything, just hammer down and go. So I'm gonna get to work, and I'll talk to you guys when I'm done. Alrighty, so it's the end of the day. It's Friday. It's 12:30 a.m. and it's put together. Time for a test drive, because you never know. Now, I've spent all day working on this thing, and it fought me, not tooth and nail, but a lot. I mean, it was stupid stuff. Here's a picture of something that came up. That's the crank sensor pins, or the crank sensor connector. It just fell off while I was working. I mean, I wasn't even touching it. I didn't unplug it. I don't get it. I don't know why it fell off, but I'm glad it fell off now rather than later. Now, actually engine out to engine back in was about 6 hours. Not the fastest I've ever done by any stretch. But it's also an automatic, so there's a couple of extra steps that you don't have with a 5-speed. I was also going behind the flywheel, and I had to wait for some right stuff to arrive because the bottle I had was utter garbage. So I asked somebody to pick some up. I had to wait for them to get here with it. But in the meantime, I did a couple of little modifications, and we're going to see how they perform. Now, it's been a long day. I'm tired. I have less than 8 hours till racing starts, and I need to get some sleep. But before I get that, I'm going to take this for a test drive. So for right now, if you guys are seeing this, well, I hope you don't have a next clip, and I hope it's ending credits. And if that works, I hope you guys feel like subscribing and enjoy what you're seeing on the channel. If you do and want to see more, check me out over on Instagram as well. I'm also on TikTok as well as Facebook. So I'm tired. That's a wrap. Have a wonderful day.